All right, buckle up everyone, because today we're diving deep into YouTube success.
That's right. We're uncovering the secrets straight from a YouTube pro, Ali Abdaal.
Yeah.
Doctor turned entrepreneur, the whole deal.
Exactly. Now, he just gave this killer talk on what it takes to make it on YouTube in 2025. And honestly, I was blown away by some of his advice.
Me too. It's not your typical how-to stuff. It's way more insightful, way more strategic.
So let's get into it. What's the first thing aspiring YouTubers need to know, according to this Abdaal guy?
He has this framework, calls it get going, get good, get smart. It's all about figuring out where you are on your YouTube journey.
Okay, I like it. Breaks it down. So for someone just starting out, someone in that get-going stage, what's the key?
Abdaal's advice, simple. Just start making videos.
Yeah, it's
Seriously.
he's all about action over overthinking.
I can see that being hard for some people, wanting everything to be perfect right out of the gate.
He talks about that, actually. The get good stage is where you develop that internal versus external quality bar. I feel that. My early videos, let's just say I've learned a lot since then. Lighting, audio, the whole 9 yards.
That's what he calls the cringe test, We all go through it.
So true. Okay, so you push past the cringe, you start getting some good feedback. What's next? What's that get smart stage all about?
That's when you start thinking about YouTube like a business.
Ah, the dreaded B word.
I know, right? But he's not talking about selling out or anything like that. It's about adding value, then figuring out how to make it sustainable.
I like that. Makes sense.
And a huge part of that is consistency.
Easier said than done, am I right?
He admits to struggling with it sometimes too, even Abdaal, and he's been doing this for years. He actually shared a story about how he grew his channel while working as a doctor full-time.
No way, really?
Yeah, pretty inspiring. It can be done even with a busy schedule. And he had some pretty radical advice on how to make consistency easier.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Don't edit your own videos.
Seriously.
Dead serious. He says it's the biggest time suck for most creators.
But what if you can't afford to hire an editor?
He addresses that too. It's about looking at your time like an investment. Figure out what your time's worth and find an editor who charges less than that.
So it's like an arbitrage play with your time.
Exactly. And honestly, outsourcing editing was a game changer for me. Freed up so much time to focus on actually creating content.
See, that's smart. But how do you even find a good editor?
He recommends doing a trial task, giving them some raw footage and seeing how they handle it. Plus, he even gave some price benchmarks. For a decent editor, you're looking at like $100 to $150 per video.
That's not as bad as I thought.
Right? It's an investment. Okay, so step 1, just get going. Don't worry about perfection. Step 2, get good. Embrace the cringe. Step 3, get smart. And yeah, maybe get some help. What else did Abdaal have to say? This is where he gets into his content strategy, and it's surprisingly simple. He calls it the magic number 3.
The magic number 3.
Yeah, basically he says to focus on 3 key points per video.
Makes sense. Keeps things focused, digestible.
Right. It's not about showing off how much you know. It's about choosing the right information, the stuff that's actually going to be valuable to your viewers.
I like that. Less is more. Did he give any examples of how this magic number 3 thing actually works?
Oh, yeah. He talked about creating a video on self-worth, and he broke it down into 3 key points. Get out of your own way, competence equals confidence, and affirmations and mantras.
That's good stuff. And self-worth, that's something a lot of people struggle with, especially when it comes to putting themselves out there on YouTube.
Totally. He actually started with the title, How to Raise Your Self-Worth, but then realized how to be more confident might resonate better with viewers, based on what people are actually searching for.
Ah, so it's about finding that balance, what you want to talk about and what people actually want to hear about.
And that's where the 80-20 rule comes in.
Hit me with it.
He says the title, the thumbnail, and the hook, those are crucial. They determine whether someone clicks on your video or keeps scrolling.
Those first few seconds, they're make or break. Okay, so how do you nail those elements?
Abdaal actually goes on YouTube himself and searches for similar videos, sees what's working, gets a sense of potential viewership.
That's smart. Market research for your content. Love it.
Right. Okay, so let's say you've got your 3 key points, you've nailed the title and thumbnail. Now, how do you structure the actual video?
Good question. That's something I struggle with.
He has a framework for that too, calls it HIVEs. Hook, intro, value, end screen.
A framework for everything.
Right. The hook grabs attention, the intro establishes credibility, the value delivers those 3 key points,
Wow.
and the end screen tells people what to do next. Subscribe, watch another video, that kind of thing.
I like it. Keeps things organized. Okay, but intros, those are tough. How do you grab someone's attention to make them want to stick around?
He says it's about answering two questions. Who are you? And why should I care?
Makes sense. Establish your credibility, but for new creators, that can feel intimidating.
He actually says you don't need a ton of achievements or fancy credentials. It can be personal experience, a unique perspective, even just your passion for the topic.
I like that. So it's about finding your angle and being authentic.
Exactly. And once you've got that intro down, it's all about delivering that value, those three key points.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. The 3 levels, the cringe test, outsourcing editing, magic number 3, 80-20 rule, the HIVE framework.
Oh,
It's a lot.
I know, right? And there's still more. We haven't even talked about the dreaded algorithm yet.
Oh yeah, the algorithm, that mysterious force that decides whether our videos get seen or disappear into the void.
Actually, Abdal has a really interesting take on the algorithm. He says understanding it is actually about understanding your audience.
Wait, what? I thought it was all about keywords and watch time and stuff like that.
It is, but those are just reflections of what viewers want. Abdal talked to some YouTube engineers, and they said it straight up. The algorithm is the audience.
So instead of trying to game the system, we should be focusing on creating content that people actually want to watch.
Bingo. Think about your target audience. What are they looking for? What do they need? Create content that resonates with them, and the algorithm will take care of itself.
That's a much better way to think about it. Empowerment, not manipulation.
Right on.
Okay, this is all making so much more sense now. But there was one more thing Abdal talked about that I'm really curious about. The unfair advantage.
Ah, yes. The secret weapon of successful YouTubers.
What is it? How do we get one?
Well, according to Abdal, everyone has unique strengths or experiences they can leverage to stand out on YouTube. Those are their unfair advantages.
So it's not about having some special skill or being a world-renowned expert. It's about finding what makes you different and using that to connect with your audience.
Exactly. It could be your background, your hobbies, your personality, even your struggles.
Okay, now I'm seeing the possibilities.
Yep.
But how do you actually figure out what your unfair advantage is? Sometimes it's hard to see what makes you unique, especially when you're comparing yourself to all the other creators out there.
That's a great question, and it's something we're going to dive into in the next part of our deep dive.
All right, so we've got the strategies down to get going, get good, get smart. We've got the magic number 3 for content and the wisdom of outsourcing that editing. We even tackled the algorithm and learned it's more about understanding our audience than like cracking some secret code.
Sure.
But what about this unfair advantage thing? How do we actually find ours?
Well, uncovering that advantage, it's a journey, Abdal actually told this story about his friend went viral with a 2-hour-long video.
2 hours. What on earth could keep people watching for that long?
The title was 30 Years of Business Knowledge in 2 hours and 26 minutes. Totally transformed his channel. And it wasn't fancy editing or clickbait, just pure knowledge.
Wow, that's wild. So sometimes the unfair advantage is just being bold, doing something totally different.
Yeah, exactly. It might surprise you what makes you stand out. Abdal suggests, asking your friends, your family, what they think you're good at. Sometimes they see it clearer than we do.
Getting an outside perspective. Okay, so let's say we've found our unfair advantage. We've got our 3 key points. We're ready to hit record. What about the actual process of creating content?
He walked through his scripting process. And you ready for this? He doesn't write a full script.
No script, seriously.
Yeah, he says it can make you sound stiff, unnatural. He just focuses on those 3 bullet points, the core of the video.
Interesting. I always thought those super polished videos came from like word-for-word scripts.
Nope. He likes to keep it conversational, talking through the points. Makes sense. When I try to stick to a script, I sound like a robot.
Oh, yeah. So ditch the script. Got it.
Right.
What about research? Surely even Abdal has to do research sometimes, right?
His take on research is pretty unique. He says the best insights come from experience. He actually said, a guide doesn't need to do research. A guide can just say, hey, I've done this. Here's what I learned. Hope it's useful.
So it's not about being an expert. It's about being relatable, sharing your own journey.
Totally. Your struggles, your triumphs, the stuff you've learned along the way, that's what connects with people.
This is making me rethink my whole approach.
Yeah.
I always feel like I need to be the expert, but maybe it's more about being a guide.
That's a great way to look at it. YouTube's all about connection. People are drawn to authenticity.
So we talked unfair advantage, ditching the script, sharing our experiences. What about the mindset? Abdal seems to have a really healthy perspective on all of this. YouTube stuff.
He does. He actually has this mantra he reads before every video, reminds him of his purpose, his intention.
Okay, now I'm intrigued. A mantra.
Yeah, he says, I don't care about the performance of this video. My only goal is to share a message I think is worth sharing for whoever wants to hear it.
Hold on, he doesn't care about the performance. I get the message part, but isn't the performance kind of important if you want people to actually see it?
He's not saying ignore it completely. He's shifting the focus. Here, listen to this. I intend to integrate my mind, heart, and soul into this and to share this message in a way that feels authentic and natural. I'm not trying to force anything here. I'm merely speaking from the heart with the mind to inform structure and content and the soul to remain connected to the purpose behind the video.
Okay, yeah, I see what he's getting at. It's about coming from a genuine place, not just chasing views.
Right. He even goes on to say, I'm going to enjoy myself and treat this process with lightness and ease. When I'm on my deathbed, I'd give anything to be back here doing what I love, sharing myself with the world in a way that's enjoyable and energizing. I'm going to keep that in mind and not treat this process with too much seriousness, heaviness, or importance, because we're just filming expletive YouTube videos at the end of the day, guys. Like, we don't need to be too serious about it.
Wow, he really puts it into perspective. It's supposed to be fun.
Exactly. And then he ends with this. And finally, I'm speaking to an individual who really cares what I have to say and who really wants to learn from me to level up their own life. I'm in service to that person, not to my own ego, not to the retention stats, not to the algorithm. I'm purely in service to the person who has clicked on this video and whose life can be genuinely changed by what I'm about to say.
That's a powerful way to think about it.
Yeah.
It's not about you, it's about them, the people watching.
Exactly. It's about connection. It's about impact.
Okay, we've talked strategy, content, even mindset.
Yeah.
And you keep mentioning this unfair advantage. But what if mine is, like, I don't know, being really good at making grilled cheese?
Hey, you never know. Maybe there's an audience for gourmet grilled cheese tutorials out there. And seriously, it doesn't have to be something crazy, you know? It's about finding what makes you, you.
Okay, but how do you actually do that? It's hard to see it sometimes, especially when you're comparing yourself to everyone else.
Yeah, comparison is the thief of joy, right? Abdul talks about that a lot. It's not about being like someone else. It's about being the best version of yourself.
And that's where the unfair advantage comes in. So what's the secret?
He says, ask the people who know you best. Friends, family, colleagues. They often see things in us that we miss.
That makes sense, getting an outside perspective. Because, yeah, it's hard to be objective about your own strengths.
And once you've found it, lean into it. Don't be afraid to let it shine.
So it's not just about finding it, it's about owning it.
Exactly. It becomes part of your story, part of your brand. It's what makes you unique.
You know, this whole conversation has been a real eye-opener. I was so caught up in the how-tos, the technical stuff. But it's really about finding your voice, your message.
That's what Abdal's all about. It's not about the numbers. It's about sharing something that matters to you.
Did he have any parting words for aspiring YouTubers?
He did. And it's a question we should all be asking ourselves. What message do you want to share with the world?
That's a good one. Simple, but powerful.
Right. Gets to the heart of it. Why are we doing this? What do we want to say?
So if you're feeling stuck, lost on your YouTube journey, remember this. Embrace the cringe, find your unfair advantage, and ask yourself that question. What message do I want to share?
The answer might just be the key to your success.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into YouTube success with Ali Evdal.
Hopefully you're feeling inspired, ready to get out there and create.
Remember, the first step is always the hardest, but it's worth it. So go make something awesome.
Share your message. You never know who needs to hear it.